Hello, hello, welcome. Today I am going to be walking you through the prep I did for, or at least the beginning of the prep I did for the Orilium and the beginning of the kind of journal that I have made for myself because I have been sick, obviously, but that has given me more time, which has been great because I went down a rabbit hole of watching videos and reading lots and lots, all the documents that were provided. Pretty much, I have read them all at least once at this point, and preparing to jump into my first semester at Orilium. And I do also intend to go back and do the semester from earlier this year, as well as do the entirety of the year-long campaign too. Um, yeah, I'm really excited about this one. So part of the reason I'm really excited about it is because it is so like D&D adjacent. Let me pop over. It is D&D adjacent, and I don't know if you can tell, but I do a bit of gaming, and part of that is we being my husband and some of his family members have a weekly game night. Sometimes that is we play video games together. Sometimes that is we do D&D together. And we're just about at the end of a shorter campaign. So we'll likely be going back to gaming regularly here soon, rather than D&D, because we sort of go in waves depending on what's going on in everyone's lives. And this is a busy section of time right now. But something that my husband and I did when we were first dating is we were dating long distance, but we could, once he introduced me to his family and everything, we could game every week. We could do D&D. So I actually learned and fell in love with D&D doing completely virtual with these people that I had never met in person necessarily, and that are now my family. And I adore them and I adore the game. But anyways, that's just a little bit about me. We love games here in general, video games, RPGs. We have like 30, 40 at least board games. That's not even counting card and dice games. We have a lot of games in the other room that we play with friends, that we play just with us. We also have like escape room boxes that we do them ourselves and then we box them up and pass them on to friends. But yeah, we love a good game, something that makes the brain work, something that gives you the opportunity to have fun while also just spending time with friends and family. Absolutely. So when I started getting into the Aurelium and getting through all the lore, and obviously I'm not nearly in all of the lore because I haven't watched all of the videos yet. I stuck to like the ones for the sections that I needed, and then I figure I'll go back and do each of the years separately at some point. And I didn't want to get too much into the weeds because I was never going to get this video out otherwise. But anyways, um, I don't remember where I was going with that. But anyway, I was super excited, and I was explaining to my husband. I was like, "Hey, husband, I am planning another reading challenge." He's like, "Why? You just read the things you want to read." And I'm like, "'Cause planning is like half the fun." I mean, I love the reading. Don't get me wrong. I obviously love the reading. I'm reading like 40, 50 books a month right now. I would ideally like that to be somewhere like 20 to 30 in the long run. Um, just because I think that I'm probably reading a little bit more than I will be able to balance long term at the moment. But um, obviously, I love the reading. But I am a planner at heart. I love planners. Give me a spreadsheet. Let me go to town on getting this planning done. Adore it. And so he was like, okay, I'm glad you're having fun. So I explained to him my character creation and like how that's gonna work, and like I get to this place, and then this changes, and then I have to pick a book for this and that. And he's just like, that sounds very complicated, babe. I'm so glad you're having a great time. And I'm like, I am. Thank you. He's just like, okay. Anyways, let's jump in. So this is the fabulous graphic, and I will say all of the graphics, for the most part, have come directly from G's files that she has available for everyone to grab. I am not an artist, so it's either from there or they are Creative Commons or from Canva itself. But most of them are going to be just from her documents. And I think this is gorgeous. Um, I don't remember who she said did most of these. I know she said that her partner did a bunch of them, but she had another artist as well. And I'm looking forward to jumping in and looking at all of the artwork that she's created. Like I said, I've only gotten into the artwork that was and folders, etc., that were part of the things that I was looking at for now. But I plan on getting into all of them over time. Like I haven't even got touched on the Emporium yet, but I know there's a few things in there from the live stream because I did attend yesterday, and yeah, so I'm learning more and more every day. So let's get started. My character creation. The character we're going to go into today is one of two because, like I said, I was having fun and I've been sick and I couldn't help myself. So this time I'm going to go through this one character and all of the things for that. If you'd like to see my second character, let me know. I will totally do that one as well. I'm going to use this character for my Herkiad readathon prompt, and the other character will just be just for me. Right now, when I go show you the planning, which will be another video for September, I have planned on getting everything required for this character completely done. And the other one is a hope, do my best, try my darndest, but I know that I have a lot of books planned for September, and there is a possibility that maybe I won't get them all done, and I need to just sort of understand that that is a possibility and walk into it, you know. But I also know that the reason that I have so many books that I have to read right now is because I have let myself fall behind because I joined so many challenges sort of midway or partway through, and now I'm playing catch up. And that won't necessarily be the case next year. And these characters are so different that I kind of wanted, they like take completely different paths. The books they're having to read for their classes are completely different. So, yeah, I want to do two next year because I think that I can very easily manage like the 15 books or so that I would need to do for both characters together for their semesters rather than the like 30 something that I'm going to need to do this year because I'm doing character creation, gear up, semester, novice path all at once for two characters. Excessive, I understand. But anyway, let's get into character creation. So my first character, and I did try to give her a bit of flavor. Let me make myself even tinier so you can see all of her doodles and things. I'm tiny in the corner. I think it's as small as I can make myself, sorry. But anyway, I copied a lot of things from the documents talking about what are humans, and then I added sort of a flavor of my character in general. So my character is a human in this case, and so therefore her affinities are inscription, enchantments, incantations, and lore. And they're very adaptable and observant. I kind of wanted her to have that inquisitiveness and being able to just try out a lot of different things. I was very surprised that I chose the choices that I actually made for this character because I made this character first. And I thought that I was going to end up with a character much more similar to the character I made for my second character. And instead, I ended up with this kind of like inquisitive, very precocious, dare I say, character who just likes to have a good time, likes fun things, likes to look pretty, and that was not the intention when I sat down to do this at all. I was looking for someone who's a little bit more like some of my other D&D characters I've done in the past that was just very sciencey minded, a little bit more serious. And nope, I apparently when I was in a mood to have a little bit of fun. So, um, in G's the lore, she talked about how the humans, as they level up and become masters, they have these crystal orbs that they often will style into their hairdos. And so I have this character. She has a little thing saying, "Hey, I can't wait to get some of these. And why don't I have this outfit and some doodles?" And then she pasted in a picture from her textbook, as well as a cutout about her race. And she said, "My family would describe me as precocious, but I like the description in this textbook better. I'm inquisitive," smiley face, and maybe, yes, a bit mischievous. I like to have fun. What can I say? And that was literally the first thing I created for this character. And I went, this is gonna be fun. This is not what I intended to do, but let's play with it. Let's have fun. So I need to read a contemporary or nonfiction book in order to complete its heritage. Now, I do understand that I could just pick and move on with my life, but that is not who I am as a person, unfortunately. I don't say it's unfortunately, but there was a choice option to be able to do a readathon just for all of these and to be able to pick books. So that is what I did because, yep, that's who I am. So then I have a map of the entire world of Eldea and a little drawing of where she is from. She is from Carador, and she says, "I love where I grew up, but it's time to travel to Orilium to begin my training." So for background, she is from an urban city, which you can see I've pointed to one of the larger cities on the map in central Carador. And so therefore, I have to read a book set in a city or a town. And since she's from Carador, the book needs to be from an ongoing series. I am reading a ton of different series right now, so that is not going to be a problem. Let's put it that way. The novice path. So she has left, and now it is time for her to. Now, there are the gear up section I actually decided to do in the scheme of like this journal after she gets to the Aurelian, even though the Orilium with an M, even though in the time order of when the challenges came out, it was, I believe, the second one, and then the novice path was the third one, if I remember the timeline correctly, because it just made more sense in my mind for the flow of how things would have actually worked based on the lore. So we got to the novice path next, and I have a picture of the entire novice path, and it says, "The novice path awaits your mind. Your pride and greed must stay behind. Now walk the trials, play the part, to help unearth those pure of heart." And this is just another thing that another example of how much I am absolutely adoring G's like level of attention to detail when it comes to all of the different things that I have gotten into so far um, on her previous ones. So I'm excited about how that's going to go going forwards. But like she's got maps for everything, and I've here just wanted me to stop talking about how excited I am about this. But anyways, so first thing is the entrance, and she's doodling a little bit. And I joined a group of hopeful scholars here to start the path of the novice. And so here's the little tent that she started in. So she has a tent and read a book with a map. Then they get to the Ashtorn tree, read a book that keeps tempting you. And what I did is there were like little choices that you have to make. And so I sort of summarized it rather than putting the exact thing that was how, like, with the question and the answer choices and da da da. I just sort of did a little bit more flavor so I could look back and be like, oh, what decision did she make again? And so it has a sort of a summary. So I could hear whispers coming from the tree. I wasn't supposed to, but I came back later to meditate nearby. So I don't remember which choice that was, or if that was like C, but basically there was a bunch of choices, and I chose the one that said, you knew you weren't supposed to, but you came back and meditated and attuned to the tree later. So that was sort of just to remind myself about that decision that was made. And then we get to The Mist of Solitude, which was read a standalone book. And the choice I made here was to conjure a dust devil to help disperse it. So I said, conjuring a dust devil helped to disperse the mist that was here. It was miserable, so much fear and pain. You'll see that through, she says something about pain later as well. But um, my intention was this character grows up as she's at college, sort of mentally, and so she starts out a little bit more kind of Elle Woods-esque, where she's just sort of like a little airheady, but still really, really smart. And then she sort of grows into who she's meant to be while she's at school. That was kind of the thought that I ended up, and this was around the time of creation of the character that I was like, that could be fun. So she definitely was created as I went rather than from the beginning. Next, we got to Ruin of the Sky, and that was for read a book featuring a ghost or haunted house or other supernatural element. Um, there are a bunch of hooded figures here, and there were options all over the place about you could be, try to protect yourselves from and the others from them. You could go check on them and see if they're okay, etc. So I went into that kind of has a good heart, a little bit airheady side of things. If you've got a bunch of cloaked figures, you're gonna be like a little bit concerned, right? And be like, what's going on? But no, not this character. And I've purposely not presented her name yet because that's gonna be later. Sorry, but her thing here was there were some strange people here. I thought they might be injured, so scan them for injuries. Nope. I don't actually know because it didn't go into like what the correct option was or what the outcome of those things were. Here, my thought was that most likely people would have like pulled her back and been like, "Dude, can you not tell these people are kind of creepy? Probably not the best choice, girl." So I put that nope at the end. Obsidian Falls was next. We were poisoned at the falls, channeled restorative magic to slowly pull the poison out. It took a while, but it worked. Pain. Again. Uh, Read a mystery or a thriller book for this one. So obviously here I think is the one that I wasn't, this question was the one that I wasn't the most sure about when it came to like summing everything at the end. Um, the this particular one for both my characters, I was like, the shape that the answer came with didn't seem to match what I thought the character, like the background that I thought that they were getting, based on the other answers. But you know, interesting. But it is fine. I think it worked out well. But anyway, Tower of Rumination. They got a gift here. And so we were offered one of 4 scrolls as a gift here. I chose the Scroll of Illusions. And it was for a read a 5-star prediction for the Tower of Rumination. Then we get to the arc that actually takes you to the academy because you can't walk there. You have to go through the arc and then it takes you to, I believe she said it's a floating island. Where the school is at. So you have to read a book with the school setting here. There wasn't a decision to be made here. But you got your guild choice. And so when I reached the end of the path, a crow delivered an invitation. I have joined the Mindwalkers. And then they have the logo here and a crow because I was trying to find a line drawing and I couldn't find one. So I just chose a sort of a stamp looking one. But I put a little cutouts about the Mindwalkers, about their callings and gifts and all of that here, sort of like if she was cutting out or taking photocopies and then cutting those photocopies because we don't cut books. That just no, especially not if we're going to be going to the special school. We don't cut our books. But anyway, she has copied out at least the information about her guild that she received, talking about the magic of their cognitive. They focus on magic of the cognitive nature. Psychology is a big thing that's offered as part of their guild. A lot of information on there. I don't want to get too deep into it because you should definitely go and read all the documentation that is provided because it's amazing. But I thought it was really cool. I read it all and then I cut it out and put it on my little um, journal. I guess this is sort of like a journal for me. And I'm interested in the logos in general because they are, I don't know why they seem, so parts of them seem familiar and parts of them completely alien. So I'm like, I wonder if she drew inspiration from any like video games or other worlds or anything like that, or if they're just completely out of her mind, no inspiration from anywhere because parts of them seem similar, but parts of them are completely not like anything I've seen before in games and things along those lines. So I'm curious. Maybe she'll talk about them in one of the live streams that I'll eventually get to at some point in the next who knows how many years of going through trying to get all of these knocked out because I have to earn enough points to get the scrolls to be able to do the semester out of order because I think that's the way she suggested doing it if you wanted to follow the rules. But anyways, so then the Mindwalkers. So the legacy that you get for the Mindwalkers is not so much of a physical gift. It's more of that they're going to teach you how to do something. So she says, I can't write much about the Mindwalkers guild legacy, as most of that evening is a secret passed from generation to generation of Mindwalkers. I left the evening feeling welcomed into a new family and having begun to learn a new skill that I continue to hone and master alongside these wonderful minds. Access to the psychic plane awaits. Um, so here's the first time where I actually looked at what their book requirement was before I made the decision about what my option was. And I wish that I hadn't because I have gone back and I haven't technically started reading any of the books yet, so I could still make a change and make it different. But I feel like I kind of need to stick with what I don't know. Tell me what you think. So I feel like the psychic plane would be very useful for this character, but my original thought was that I kind of wanted her to go into the Feywild plane, but I don't know that that necessarily fits the character, which is why I originally eventually decided to stick with psychic plane um, as the option because I feel like this character is going to find more use in her everyday life from the psychic plane or access to the psychic plane than she will with Feywild. Feywild is very high risk, high reward, be able to go in there and get treasures and things like that and come out with them. But there's also creatures in there. Versus Psychic, she could very much use in the um, job that I chose for her to work towards later. So I think that I'm going to stick with Psychic and then move forwards. I went back and forth a couple of times. I'm like, but I really wanted to do this to do the Feywild. I may at some point have to have a different character in the long term. I've got two right now. I don't need another one right now. But who explores the Feywild because that just seems interesting. Like I would want to do that. But I also don't know how much because this is a reading challenge and not necessarily an actual D&D campaign. We would be actually exploring the Feywild, and that's more of what I want to do is actually get in there and explore as if it was a campaign. So we will see. I think I'm gonna keep it. But anyway, that's where we're at, and I kind of viewed this whole guild legacy initiation as again back on that sort of Elle Woods-esque of a sorority initiation situation where she's like, this is my new family, it's great, they're going to teach me all these new things, we're going to be friends, and that may or may not be the way things go because there's probably a lot of really studious people in the Mindwalkers Guild, and she's, like I said, going to have to be growing up and coming into who she is as a person while she's here. But anyways, that is where I'm at for that one. And psychic plane access, she needed to read a supernatural book, which is going to be super easy for me. I read plenty of supernatural books. Just a map of Orilium in general because we are officially at Orilium, and she may need to know how to get around, and if I'm over here, where do I need to like go in order to get over to this section. So I put that in the journal. And then the next thing she did was choose a conduit, and the documentation said that every day at dusk, they add new ones in there. And so it said every day at dusk, conduits are added to those already available in the Hall of the Phoenix Fire. It took me a while to find one that felt right, but eventually I chose a beautiful dagger. So she definitely wanted to talk about the beauty of her conduit and how gorgeous it was, but also it is deadly. The daggers are also something that is very specific to her guild only. So it's not like she's just looking for something pretty, but it's also something that is specific to her guild, and it's sort of the first choice that is being made into that new life, if that makes sense. But she is still talking a little bit about the pretty factor and the fun things and etc. So she's talking about their gemstones encrusted along the pommel and inlaid here in this part. So there's a lot of pretty gemstones here. It's a dagger, so it's a standalone book, which I've been reading a ton of books in general, but a lot of the books I've been reading are in a series. So I didn't realize quite how many of them were in series until I started looking at standalone books. I do have some standalone books that are being read this month anyway, so I was able to quickly put one in there, but I didn't realize how many of the ones that are like my own personal choices that aren't like part of like clubs and etc. are part of series right now. I am just reading through series after series, which has been fun. Means again, I like diving into worlds. Obviously, series is right. Scholar's Key. So this is actually introducing all of the answers we've had so far into who my character is. So my character's name is Elena Asterio, and I did not draw a picture of her because I am not a drawer, and I thought about potentially like getting a picture online that I thought was similar, but I didn't want to potentially steal an artist's work, or use AI, which potentially could be utilizing an artist's stolen work to create that. So I just chose not to for now. She is part of the Mindwalkers Guild, and her calling is going to be Illusionist Rogue. I need to go in and add that still, as well as a bunch of other things. I literally have a whole like sticky note of things that I want to add over the next little while, but I thought that where we're at right now, there would probably be very little discussion on that because this is technically her first semester, though her first semester after by the end of the year will actually have been in the spring, because I'm going to go back and do that one. And yeah, but I she's probably going to be feeling like more she's doing her initial term classes, if that makes sense. She's just trying to do all the basics, and I feel like she's going to sort of realize herself into this role. And that's not exactly how the lore of this works, but I feel like that's what I'm going to flavor it as. And so I'm going to go in and add that when I do a lot of the other stuff as I go through the rest of the year into the journal. So that's why that's not in there yet. At least I don't think I put it in there. I know I wrote it down to do, but I've been sick, like I said. Maybe I blanked out doing it, but I don't think I did. That wasn't the plan. Certification, novice first year. Background urban. Province was Carador, heritage human, and lunar phase at birth. I chose blood moon. That one is, she said pure. She said pure flavor. It doesn't have anything to do with it, with any of this decisions or etc. in here. So that, I'm not sure how that would really play in, but I thought that would be kind of fun for the character in general. But like, yeah, blood moon, why not? Those are fun. I feel like alignment is more like something interesting is going to happen because of this character, and I don't necessarily know that that's who this character is, but so I skipped that one. And same thing for like Eclipse. I could have chosen Unnoted, but I feel like if she's Elle Woods-esque, which she's not exactly Elle Woods, but she has flavor of Elle Woods, then her parents would have noted what was going on. Um, Her conduit is a dagger. The guild legacies access. Oh, see, I put Feywild here, and it's not Feywild. I originally, as I was going back and forth, and I chose Psychic. I will fix that. Back and forth and back and forth. Scholar's traits. And I see I fixed this one. Charismatic, clever, playful, insightful, and sly. Um, Autumn. So for her job, she has to take in the Art of Illusion category biomanipulation, smokescreen, and reverse reflections. So she needs to complete an autumnal setting on the cover or story, technology on the cover, and reflected image or mirror on the cover. For shapeshifting, she needs to complete camouflage practice, which is a genre blend, which will be very simple because most books these days I feel like are a blend of genres. Like very few things are purely one genre. I've read a few this year that were definitely purely one genre. Specifically, the everyone in my family has killed someone, and everyone on this train has killed someone. That series. I can't remember what the series is called right now. Ernest something. But anyway, those ones I think are very much mystery. Like that's what they are. But most of the things that I've been reading are either fantasy and mystery, or romance and thriller, or they're like a mixture of things. There are some romances that are just pure romances that they've read this year as well, but a lot of them are mixes, so it should be pretty simple to find one. And then psionics and divination, I needed to take premonition prep, which was doing a genre spin, which the genre spin that I did, you will see when I show you the prep for the month of September. And then the Mindwalkers Book Club. So you can join a book club, and you get extra points when you do the book club book for your semester. The issue I'm going to have with having two characters, because I asked about this within the Discord, is that you can't join more than one guild in the Discord, but you can be in different guilds for your different characters if you choose to have more than one character. So they basically said you'll only be able to choose one of the book clubs, which is fine. So I decided to do the one that I was doing for the Orilium with you guys, and then I would just not do the book club for the other, because you can't participate in the book club if you're not in the Discord chat for that book club, and they will only add you to one of the guilds, if that makes sense. So the book club choice for that I'm going to be doing, I've actually already read it, so I'm putting it on my want to / hope to reads list for a reread, so I can get the extra points and etc. And I can still participate in the chat even if I don't get time to reread the book before it gets all the end of the month. But I've already read it. I've read it actually in the last year, because I read the entire series, and I read 2 of those series earlier this year, if I remember right. Maybe not. I definitely finished the series this year though, and I started it last summer because it was one of my little brother-in-law's. He's still in middle school. Um, summer reading summer reading books, and he was like, I'm reading this book, and blah blah blah. I was like, I'll read it with you, and we finished it, and we were chatting about it, and it was really really good. And so I decided to tell my husband, hey, by the way, you should read that book because your brother is reading it, and we both really liked it. You'll probably like it, and then we can chat about it with him. And then I went in and started reading the other ones, and my husband and I have both finished the entire series. And brother-in-law is still on book 2 because he's been having other things to do, obviously, but middle schoolers, right? But anyway, he's reading all kinds of other things, and he just didn't get into them as much as we did, but I loved it. Anyway, it is the Scholomance, the first book in the Scholomance series, and I think it's called A Deadly Education, and I adored it. If you have a young adult in your life who enjoys magic and schools and that kind of a book setting, it is YA. It is not middle grade, and it is just in general really, really good. I liked it, but that's not the point of this one. This is talking about going through it all. So this is the end. Like I said, I plan on adding all of the other stuff on there. So the things I plan eventually adding to my journal is a page to track my guild points. Right now I'm just doing it in like a Google sheet because I've only had one instance of getting points, and that was from the live stream yesterday. And then I want to have a page for all the imps that I collect over time because I need to do that. And then for all the side quests, the semester quests. So last semester they did dragons. This semester they are doing an animal rescue. So I want to do at least a one-page like spread about whatever the semester quest is. And depending on how those goes, it may actually be two, because I'm thinking I need to discuss actually what's happening, and then depending on like what's going on, I may have more graphics that need to be displayed. So for instance, if we collect like 6 animals, I'd want all of those animals on there, and I don't know that necessarily I'd fit them all on one page. So, but there'll be pages about that. Um, and then the different semesters as I go through them, as well as the adventures in Eldia. So all of the different things basically that as I go through um, life uh, at Aurelian, I want to be able to put on into this. And normally, I would say this would be a great opportunity for like making a journal, but I know myself, and I am not the physical journal type person. I'm just not. Sorry, my nose is very, very itchy right now, and I don't know why. Um, I'm not. I'm much more of a create it electronically, and I can file it away with the other things that I've created. I usually do like even like for the like minis, if I'm in a challenge and they're like, hey, it's a month-long mini, here's three prompts just for this mini, I will download it, put it in Canva, make it so I can put things in there, and that's what I'll do more than writing things in a physical journal or a scrapbooking or things like that. So I decided to go with this route rather than I guess the more traditional paper route, because I can add things in and move things around um, whenever I want. And if I want to be like, hey, this needs to actually go up there, I can drag it up there and move it around, versus in paper I can't. And that's something that would really irk me, which is a small thing in the scheme of things. But the fact that I'm not a good drawer, and I just don't really do great with paper craft. I'm more of a stitching crafter um, than anything else. I don't know. Would you? I don't think that I would necessarily consider this type of journaling, scrapbooking situation to be crafting. Would you? I maybe. I mean, it is kind of crafting, but it's electronic, technological based crafting, which isn't necessarily crafting. I feel like crafting is things I do with my hands usually. Anyway, let me know what you think. Because I do actually have to, for another challenge, read a book while crafting sometime in the month of September. And if this would count as a craft, then let me tell you, I'm going to start making a lot of these pages and preparing them now, because I'm probably going to do that anyway, because obviously I'm having fun with it, so I may as well do it, right? Anyway, that is where I'm at. I've already gone through and picked out the books that I think that I'm going to do for this character and the other character, and done all the planning for September. And I'm going to be recording that one here in just a minute. So hopefully I'll get those ones put up fairly quickly in the next couple of days. And it's going to be a lot of videos back to back, which is not what I intended to do, but that's just kind of how it's coming out because getting into September, there's, you know, August recap and the September planning, and then brand new to me um, book challenge slash world, which is exciting. So it's just lots of things back to back, which I am excited about. So I'm very glad that I started this channel and started these different challenges because it's given me the opportunity, and I'm enjoying chatting. I have a couple people who've left comments so far, and I've got to add a couple of books to my TBR based on recommendations from you guys. So thank you so much for interacting and letting me know what books that you guys suggest and your thoughts in general. I appreciate it a lot, and I will talk to you guys later. See you in the Orilium. Bye.